Content warnings for this video game are listed in the podcast description.
Safe Room, a survival horror game club. I'm your host, Grace, and with me is the other host, Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
I need an engineer.
There's a lot of layers to this because the guy playing Blake, the main character in The Thing, which is the game we played this month in our game club, 2002 sequel to the cult classic horror movie. The guy playing Blake is doing an impression of Solid Snake.
Okay. And
Solid Snake, as we know, is duplicating Kurt Russell, who is a character in The Thing. So there's a lot of layers to I need an engineer is all I'm saying. There's a lot of culture happening in that line alone. But yeah, it's loosely survival horror. It kind of ends up being just a shooter, like an action game. Yeah, developed by Computer Artworks and co-published by Universal Interactive
and Konami.
It's, came out for everything except GameCube. That's rude.
That's
so rude.
Maybe GameCube couldn't handle the complex AI of the Thing.
I don't know. I wonder, maybe it was like the demographic didn't work out, They were just like, oh, that's like kids and families and they're not playing the Thing game, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. But just like there are Disney adults or Nintendo adults, so
they got the what's that survival horror game for the GameCube?
Resident Evil 4? Eternal Darkness.
Okay, well, yeah. Also Resident Evil 4, but
yeah, that did come out for some other things. Despite whoever, wasn't there one of the guys who worked on that game was like, it's never going to come out for anything but the GameCube, and then like 5 months later it came out for PlayStation 2.
Oh really?
I don't know if that's true. And apparently I didn't do much research into this, but apparently there was going to be a sequel to this game.
Huh.
Yeah, The Thing 2, which is a funny but it was canceled.
Damn. Rip.
Which I think could have been really interesting, because this is a game that has a lot of ideas, and a lot of stuff going on. Do we want to start with the plot here, and then maybe
sure.
get into how it works? You wrote out a very lovely summary here.
I took stuff from Wikipedia and then cobbled it together into 2 paragraphs.
No, fair. But no, your touch is in this little summary here. So I appreciate it, is all I'm saying. I appreciate the hard work you do into making this podcast as high quality and legible to the listener as possible.
Also the other thing is, like, there's so much stuff in this game that doesn't actually matter.
It's the way, yes, because like there's so much of like, we have to have a level, and so you go do a thing, and at the end of it I'm like, wait, why did I do that? What was the importance of like killing this thing that's like deep in this compound? Like, was that connected to anything? It's like, I don't know.
You're like chasing a Norwegian through half of the game.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't really matter.
Well, he just is a thing. He's just one of the things. So, yeah. So basically, this is a sequel to the movie. you play as Captain Blake, who is like part of an investigation team, investigating the U.S. camp that went dark in the feature film. And Blake is under the command of this guy, Whitley. Yeah, so memorable characters in this game, as you understand. Anyway, and so he's just talking on the intercom and stuff, and they find all this freaky stuff, and they blow up the U.S. base under orders from Whitley. And then Blake investigates the Norwegian outpost and loses contact with Whitley. And yeah, this is where the Norwegian guy comes in because he stole the radio, I guess. I guess. Some of these plot connections that are in the summary, I'm like, I did not pick this up.
Me neither.
Well, some of it is like, because there are computers everywhere that you can type on, and then like you get some context. So there's a little,
But like you find the Norwegian like in like a cell, and then he just turns into a thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
But there's this other guy, Pierce.
Yeah.
Who is the leader of like the A team that you try to find.
Right. Yes.
And you find him, and he's infected. And he's like, I'm infected, you gotta kill me. And Blake's like, no, we gotta save you. Even though like 3 times already there's been guys that has just turned into the thing in front of you. And Pierce is like, Mom always said,
yes,
yeah. If you want something done, you gotta do it yourself.
He does. I forgot about
and then he kills himself.
Yeah. Anyway, and so then Blake finds out that they're Resident Eviling the thing.
You come across John Carpenter.
Yeah, who's like this doctor guy, and he's like, we gotta contain the infection, and then Whitley is like become infected, and he's like, I can control it, and we can use it to do vague evil military stuff.
Yep, and then John Carpenter dies.
Yeah, it kills John Carpenter, like shoots him in the head on camera. So, kill your darlings. And then, yeah, Blake at this point has been captured and kind of has figured out that Whitley is, like, evil. And so, and that, Whitley is, like, let the thing loose and is gonna, like, export the thing via plane to somewhere all over the world.
Yes, this is, like, I don't know.
So he blows up the planes and then is running after Whitley, and Whitley gives a speech about how he's like the mastermind is going to take over the world and going to infect everything while he's on fire, which is pretty cool. And then so like Whitley like turns into a giant thing, and this helicopter pilot shows up, and the final boss battle is you shooting giant Whitley the Thing from your helicopter.
Yeah.
And who is the helicopter pilot but MacReady from The Thing, Kurt Russell.
It was I didn't finish this game, but I hadn't watched the last cutscene, so I like looked it up, and the MacReady reveal is so fucking funny.
It's so. This is
because it doesn't serve a purpose other than MacReady is here.
Well,
which sucks because like the end of the thing is like really cool.
Yes,
it's
yeah,
Childs
I think this
and
is
MacReady just like sharing a drink.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you should watch The Thing if you don't watch The Thing. It's a good movie. People yell about it for good reasons. But yeah, it's sort of like the last scene is that Childs, whose body you find in the opening level, where you're just
he just dies of hypothermia.
Yeah.
Don't ask how MacReady got out of the situation, though.
Yeah. Well, I sort of thought the implication was that MacReady was the thing, because this is one of the questions at the end of the movie, right? Is like, is one of them still infected, or are both of them infected, or neither of them, right? Like, there's this tension, and neither of them doesn't know, like, they don't trust each other, obviously, and that's like so much of their central drama of the movie is them trying to like fighting to who is boss. Right?
Yeah.
So I sort of thought that that the implication is, oh, the thing is still out there and it's like piloting your helicopter because it's McCree. But maybe not, because also he was supposed to be like the other guy in the sequel. He's like I don't know if there was going to be co-op or anything, but that he's like with you the whole time.
It would have been like A Way Out, but like it's McCready and Blake.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think so. It would have been exactly like A Way Out. Yes. But yeah, that's sort of the idea. Yeah. So, and you may be wondering, how does this movie attempt to translate The Thing, which is a movie about it's kind of, it's like a game of werewolf or something like that, right? And that's actually the most obvious way to translate it. It would be to do like a social deduction game. And that's what Among Us is, actually. Go figure. It's just The Thing in space.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so basically you play as Blake, and you're always Blake, and Blake is never infected because you're the hero. But you can have up to 3 squad members of various kinds, and they can be infected, but aren't necessarily, and they will there's sort of a trust system where it's like you can earn their trust by giving them weapons, or like by defending them from things, or otherwise being nice and good to them. And they lose trust if you shoot them or whatnot.
Oh, they sure do.
Yeah, they will kill you.
They will kill you even if you accidentally shoot at them once.
Yeah. Although it's very funny, because one time I gave one of my guys a shotgun, and he just killed me 3 times. And I was like, dude, I'm Captain Blake.
When I quit this game, it was because I was trying to do a level, and I have done it 20 times, and then one time randomly my squad mate shot at me, and I'm like, I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Good.
That's the thing, is it's kind of janky. And then basically it's kind of in structure, it's like a survival horror kind of game. There's some research management with ammo and things like that, right? So most of the things you encounter are little spider guys, like the head in the movie, just little spindly guys, and those you can just kill with ammo. But anything bigger than that, you have to whittle down the health of and then flamethrower to death.
Yeah.
And so and then it's also puzzles about navigating space, about finding the right key to the right thing, or knowing how different things in different rooms slot together so you can get through, kind of classic Resident Evil stuff. Yeah, is there anything else sort of broad gameplay stuff you want to just touch on here in terms of what the listener should know?
Did we talk about the sandy meter?
No.
Okay, party members have a sandy meter. So if they see a dead body, or just if generally bad things happen, they will lose their sanity and start staying voice lines and hiding in the corners of rooms and shoot that stuff randomly, and yeah,
and throw up.
And throw up. They will also throw up.
Yeah, I feel like this might not be true. I feel like you had a little more experience with the sanity stuff than I did, because to me it never mattered. There was never a point where I had to calm someone down because it was a danger, or I only ever got one, because at the beginning it makes a big deal about you can get a tranquilizer that will help people calm down, right? And I got it one time and never used it. So
yeah, it really didn't matter for me either.
Yeah.
This is more just secondhand looking at videos where this happens, but it didn't really happen to me that much.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's a little... Well, and this is also something... So there are 3 types of party members. Medics who can fix you up, and then there's soldiers who are just good at shooting, I guess.
Yeah.
they're useless. They don't matter. And then engineers who can like fix stuff that you can't, right?
That blocks progress.
Yes. And this
engineers are the thing that like make it so you can't just shoot your squad members and just play the game.
Right, yes, that you have to,
because you need them to like open doors and activate saves and stuff.
Right. Yeah, and I think that was one of the things. So also you can, in kind of a twist on the blood test from the movie, you can get like a little syringe and get their blood, and then it like if it explodes, then they're the thing, and if not, then they're safe, right? But a lot of times it's like, okay, I can't open this door, and then I run into an engineer, and it's like, well, I know this engineer's not the thing because I have to open this door.
Yeah.
And there's no way for me to progress. And so, like, I think some of the, like, social tension stuff, which is, like, kind of cool and actually did, at least for me, have some cool moments that we can talk about. I do think it ends up, by the end, feeling pretty, like, perfunctory. Like, a lot, and there's also a lot of the game you're just alone, like, shooting stuff.
Yeah.
And
also when your characters turn into the thing, it is often on completely set triggers throughout the game.
Yeah.
And so if you do a blood test on somebody and they're not the thing, and if you run down a corridor in which that trigger is, they will just become the thing no matter what. So it really doesn't matter if you do a blood test or not.
Yeah.
Your character can randomly become the thing beforehand if he like takes a lot of damage and stuff. But there will always be a point where your character becomes the thing, to the point where the LP I watched, the player just like turned around and started shooting their teammate when they knew they were activating the trigger.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's wild.
Yes.
Because I did have. There was a great moment I had where, so this is a level, it's like in a furnace, and you sort of open in an elevator, and there's like this little furnace room, and then you go outside, and there's kind of a warehouse or storage station.
Yeah.
And so I like went and fought through those two rooms, and for some reason, like, my squad mates didn't follow me out. And so then I ran into a couple doors where it was like, oh, I can't open this door. And so it's like, oh, I gotta go get my guys. And also, like, you have to tell people to follow you, especially like when you first pick them up. And so, like, it wasn't like that weird that the people didn't follow me, right? I wasn't like, oh. So I went back and they both turned into the thing and were just hanging out.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh shit. And the thing is, it was kind of cool because I had tested some of them in the level prior, and they had it. And I think now, like, hearing this is probably like, oh, they probably just triggered. Right, that they became the thing. But it was like this weird like thing where I like left the room to go do something and then came back and something had happened and everything had changed, right? Which is kind of like the way I mean the way the horror in the movie works, which I think is really, really cool, is that like someone being gone, is like, okay, well, where the hell were they and what were they doing? And can I trust them at all anymore? And so there were some moments where there was like a kind of example of that in the game in sort of this weird way. And I thought that was like cool, but I think that stuff kind of comes out of like all these like half-baked systems kind of colliding into each other that like maybe once every couple of playthroughs sort of magically aligns
right
to a moment like that. Because I think the way it works is so like constrained and binary that it's like hard to like actually pull out those kinds of moments consistently.
Yeah. Where I stopped playing, I think it was that same level, and is it the one after like where you have to fight waves of enemies?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think maybe the level I remember, the biggest part where you fight enemies is like when you're in that you're in one of the Arctic bases, I think one of the Norwegian bases.
Yeah.
And then there's like all the little skidlers, which I actually thought was cool because you have like, you can like, there's all these rooms that are open, and if you close off rooms, and you can like take care of one wave and then open the room and like throw a grenade in there. And so there's sort of this strategy around the space I thought was really nice. And I actually think sometimes when the game's playing with that kind of stuff, it really hits because nothing actually like feels really good, but there's a lot of like potential actions you can take. And so when it feels like, okay, I'm actually using all these different tools that I have right? It can really like that. That's the thing is I think this game's good, or at least interesting, right? I don't know if I'd be like, you should definitely go out and play this, but like it's got a lot going on, and it's and I think sometimes when it hits actually pretty effectively. But yeah, I don't think that was quite the same level that you're talking about, though.
Right, but when I started playing, it was a level where you start the level, you go into a building, you like go down a corridor, and one of your party members becomes the thing, but I kept dying, and so I would just have to do that section over and over, and it wouldn't change every time.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where I really turned on the game. Where if I had like save states, because I was playing on a PS2, if I had save states, I would probably be okay.
Yeah, well, I think that's the problem. He says actually, because I wasn't using save states, and then you messaged me and were like, I'm flagging out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can finish this. Yeah. And then you were like, maybe if I had save states, and I was like, oh, I should be using save states.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it did, like, I don't think I would have finished the game without it, because especially, like, the back third are these, like, increasingly fiddly and tricky action segments.
Right.
That are pretty difficult to pull off and required a lot of trial and error, and then having to do, like, 3 or 4 encounters instead of just one over and over again. And then, like, hitting the quick save, right? Just, completely, like, enabled me to finish the game, I think, in a way that... Like, I was, like, playing this, and I was like, this is kind of like Ninja Gaiden for the NES. In terms of, like, levels of bullshit this game is throwing at you constantly. Yeah. Like, by the end, the difficulty level is really heightened.
Yeah, so because you start fighting like actual guys too, right?
Yes, yeah, you start fighting like soldiers.
Yeah.
Which is a weird choice, I think. Yeah, like the last level is like basically like you kind of go out on the ice and you're following Whitley, and it's like a little like you turn a corner and there's like a little squad of guys, you know, out in the snow. And actually, so what happened to me here was so there's a boss, and this boss was really tricky because I just didn't have many health packs. And I looked up a guide, and there was a trick where you could stand like right underneath the boss and just shoot at it continually. But, you know, you have to flame it in order to defeat it, right? And the only way I could really figure out, the guide recommended that I use flame grenades and try and like dodge attacks from distance, and I couldn't figure out how to do that. So I just stood underneath it and flamethrowered it, which like the flame dealt ambient damage to me because I was so close to the thing I was setting on fire. And so, and so I got, you know, I beat it, but was really low on health. And then for some bizarre reason, the next segment is like a little House of Horrors where you went down into this base by like climbing down into this like spiral staircase, and then you go back up the same way except things are exploding all around you, and there's like 3 points where it just deals damage to you and there's no way to avoid it. And and basically I was like, I can't finish this because I don't have enough health. I can't, and so I had to reload it and fought the boss. But I got it because I like had saved, like I don't know, somehow I had more health, and so I got. But then in the last level where you're like running through the ice fields, there's like a long section where you still don't get any more health packs, and so I was just like, I was saving and reloading like encounters where I had to like fight these soldiers from a distance, and it's like, it was a nightmare.
Oh my god.
So, and the thing is, I was like, you know, I looked at the guide and I was like, there are like 3 paragraphs left, you know, like I have, like, I can do this, but I don't think it's a thing that human beings should do. I'm not like recommending, you know, and I do not blame you, Ryan, for just being like, I'm out. I think the game would have broken you sooner or later if you had continued after that point.
From the Let's Plays that I've seen, and Waypoint is also covering this.
Right, yes.
So they've been doing streams, and it just seems too much for me. So, The last thing I remember from the Waypoint stream is they had a room, and you can tell me if this happened to you as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a room where you have to get past laser beams, and so you have to flip 2 random switches on the side.
Yes, yeah.
How did you solve that?
So there was something in the game that said you flip the switch according to Blake's DNA sequence. And so I was like, okay, I guess I just have to like look at a computer and figure this out, right? But I was like running around and looking at all these computers and couldn't find any information for it. And so I was just looked over at the guide, and it's like, okay, you flip the first and last switches. And so I did that.
Did you ever fail that though?
No, I never did.
So the thing that happens when you fail is that just a billion guns come out of the ceiling, shoot you and your squad. Just immediately get wrecked.
It's
incredible. So funny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like, that's the thing, is I think it's extremely like one of these like spin-off games. It's like super janky. But the thing is, I guess I will say that there is despite the ways we've talked about kind of already, like how the sort of Resident Evilification of the thing kind of messes it up, I think. Yeah. Like I this was something I was thinking about a lot, because so The Thing is not a movie about like the military or about capitalism or about like any of those. Like Resident Evil is like obviously foregrounding, right? But except kind of in the background, because like a lot of the stuff is these are all people who work together, right? And there's this like immediate sort of struggle about like, hey, who's in charge? And like, you know, who holds power in this? And like, obviously, you know, the gun is sort of this phallic image, right? Plays a lot into this. Like who, you know, and like I think that's one of the things that's cool about the movies. It's all these people who are like, you know, kind of shitty dudes who are all sort of existing in this system that all of a sudden cuts off and can't support them anymore. And they have to like try and figure out how to survive. And all they can think about is like, who's in charge?
Sure. I mean, there's an aspect of it very broadly in the movie where it's like, you know, those damn Norwegians, you know, dug up this like shit that they weren't supposed to be fucking with, and that's why we're in this situation. But it's not to the extent like it is in the game where somebody is intentionally using the thing as a means to infect the planet, you know,
right, as a bioweapon, right? Because
the Norwegians, they just tried to kill the dog, which I don't know why they couldn't just land the plane and kill the fucking dog, but
I don't know. Yeah, well, there's a movie about that too.
What?
Did you not? So there's a Thing prequel from like 2011.
Okay, yeah, I know about
Thing.
that.
Yeah, and it's about the Norwegian base. Yeah, so you can find out why they couldn't kill the dog, I guess, or what was going on.
Well, it just seemed like he was aiming like shit.
I mean, that's true. He does take a lot of shots at that dog.
Yeah.
Can't get it. Yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood you there. But yeah, and so I think that's sort of the thing, is that stuff is really difficult to translate, especially in a game where it's like it relies on sort of these AI companions who by definition like aren't people. Yeah. And you can't have like a prior relationship with. And
they only last like one level, so like there's not enough time to like, even if you were like role playing the thing, right? There's no room to like inject like personalities onto these guys, because the moment you do, like 5 minutes later they're gone.
Yes, yeah,
and it just 100%. Recycles through NPCs as you go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like that's also part of like the, you know, I need an engineer. It's like you need this kind of guy. Yeah. Right? And like every one of them is exchangeable for that kind of guy in each level, right? Yeah. Like I kind of wish, the thing I love about like Child showing up at the end of the movie in The Thing, right, is he's gone for that whole climax where they're like building the explosives, right, and stuff, and then he just shows up and he was gone somewhere, and it's like, again, like, where was he? What was he doing? What does that mean? Right? And I think it would be really cool to have stuff like that in the game where it's like you are with somebody who then separates from you and then you come back together, right? And I think you can feel sort of the desire towards stuff like that. But, you know, I mean, I think part of it is just that, like, this is a really ambitious game that is also like a PlayStation 2 mid-budget survival horror game, right? And so it's a toughie. Like, I don't think you could successfully kind of pull at this formula in the way this game is trying to today. You know, but maybe.
Well, if so, it wouldn't be like AI driven,
right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cause what's that Xbox zombie game? The one that Austin Walker really likes.
Oh, State of Decay.
Yeah, when I like started playing this game, it reminded me broadly of State of Decay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't played State of Decay. The thing that AI reminded me a lot of is the pawns from Dragon's Dogma, or at least kind of in the way that like the game gets a lot of mileage out of the sort of weird antics of non-human characters and like the repeated lines and sort of like just go like someone going to a room and just throwing up 3 times and then like wandering into the corner or whatever, right? There's an absurdity to it that I think you can see in other games that have this kind of like big AI presence. The big difference between the pawns and this though is the pawns are like they stick around and they're around with you, right? And you're like going on a journey with them, and so there is this like role-playing attachment. And there's also plot stuff with them that I don't know about because I've only watched people play Dragon's Dogma. I never finished it. So,
yeah, it would help. It would go a long way if you just had like if you had at least one squad member who was always with you. Yeah. You know, because when I kept redoing that mission over and over again, I had the guy with like that sounds like Canberra countryman doing a country accent.
Yes, I got you, yeah.
and so I would just hear him go, "We got company," over and over again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the thing is, I think that like that stuff is both, I think, really annoying and quite charming. This is a bit of a pivot, but I guess I wanted to say that like one of the ways I think this shows some reverence for the source material is that I wouldn't say the cutscenes, and it's obviously hard because we just played fucking Silent Hill, which is one of the best looking games ever made, and is like very impeccably like directed in a way that this is just not, right? But the cutscenes are like really trying to do cinema.
Anytime it like does a jump cut to a scene, like in the beginning, it does the jump cut to one of the soldiers, throats getting cut.
Oh yeah.
That's like also in the movie. And I thought that stuff was cool.
Yeah. Well, I think, I was just gonna say there's a lot of like camera movement stuff. Like there's a shot where I think there's like a soldier in the corner and Blake's approaching it, and there's sort of like a conference table. And the camera like swings underneath the conference table, so you get both of them sort of like fading in and out. And it's like it's not like especially well executed, but there were a few shots where I was like, they are really going for it, in a way that like was just impressive to me, because I think like, I understand there's I think a reluctance and a sort of disdain towards video game cutscenes, kind of generally. Particularly like in the early, I think 2010 sort of an indie scene where it's like you should let the game speak for itself as much as possible, right? Kind of like you want to Super Metroid it as much as possible, basically, right? And I understand that. I don't think that's like a bad approach, but I think like there can be a lot of artistry that I think people now are just sort of not interested in. And I think if you play something that's like trying to be sort of cinematic. Like, I mean, I just played Max Payne 3, I think is an example of this, right? Or Uncharted generally, where it's like a lot of the cinematic language is just very conventional and straightforward. And like, and it's tricky because you have to do it with like 3D models and like all this, it's like, and you have to make a video game on top. Like, you're not just making an animated movie. You're also doing like all this other stuff. It's really difficult, right? I'm not trying to be like, they just need to work harder. But I think I really appreciated seeing this effort towards trying to craft real images out of the different parts of the game. And I don't think it's always very successful. And I think the game generally actually kind of looks a little flat or a little like, there's just not a lot of texture or layer to it. I mean, it's like, this is what the fog does so much work in Silent Hill, where you get that, like, you get foreground and background in a way that this game kind of doesn't have, right? But yeah, that was something I just like consistently really appreciated. It was like, oh, they are trying to do something here, and like are clearly inspired by the movie in a way that just goes beyond like, okay, we're doing something with a similar premise, right? That is about like trying to an interest in the craft, right? I think that's cool. I don't think a lot of games like this don't do that. Like, there's not Star Wars games where you can be like, oh yes, like that's a George Lucas or like David Tattersall moment, right? In the cinematography, you know, it's all pretty straightforward, like video game kind of ways of framing things, right?
Right. But then you have the dialogue.
Yeah, it's not.
Cutscenes.
It's bad. Blake is also just so. This is also something that's weird about in relationship to the movie is Blake is just cool. He's just good. He's like an action hero. He's just like, yeah, I'm cool and good. And I follow the rules when I need to, and I break them when I don't, because I'm Captain Blake. I don't know why he has this like lilted accent, very slight, because he doesn't sound like that. He sounds like Solid Snake.
When they come across the UFO and he's like, yeah, I get it. We're not alone in the universe and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's just, he gets these one-liners and all of them are like so funny. I like when he meets Whitley and he's got John Carpenter in tow and he's like, you bastard. Right? It's just, yeah, like that's the script is not good.
My favorite one is when you just come across a medic and he's like, Whitley tried to shoot me, but he didn't finish the job. And then it just cuts.
Yes, yeah. Oh, like that's the thing. I mean, the thing about the thing is, again, it's a movie about social relationships, and this is a movie that is like completely absent of people in any sense, right? And not even like, because I think you can argue. This is complexity, but I think you could be like, oh, the characters in the thing are so two-dimensional, right? These characters are not even one-dimensional, right? There's like just nothing going on, right? And so yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes it difficult to like get invested in the drama of even sort of the like gamey sort of, I mean, quote unquote procedurally generated like who is the thing stuff, because it's just so
they're just like names, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also think kind of generally, I mean, yeah, we were talking about the atmosphere. There's a couple good moments. Like there's a part where you go through a level and then you like trip an alarm and all the walls turn red, right? With like the like backup lighting, and you're like going through fighting soldiers or whatever. And that had kind of a cool visual effect. I mean, I'm also a sucker for when it's like, hey, we're playing the same level again, but it's recontextualized. You know, I'm always like, oh yes, video games. But yeah, and you also had a note about the music, which is there's barely any at all.
Yeah, for a thing based on the thing.
Yeah,
you would think that they would try to get something, but yeah, really, I mean, no music when you're playing the game. There's like stings in like the cutscenes and stuff, but other than that, it's very bare.
Well, there's a couple of moments I think when you're walking around, and sometimes there's like a little on in the synth plays for like 3 seconds, and then you'll like hit the trigger and it'll just cut off, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess I do think. I'm curious to see what you think about this, because I do think the like little things enemies look really good, and a lot of the gore generally is pretty fun. I like that the soldiers' heads explode when you headshot them. Yeah, it's obviously not comparable to the movie, but I thought it was like a good faith effort. How did you feel about it?
I'm kind of neutral on it. Like, like they're passable as like enemies,
Right,
but like
yeah.
but like an hour in, you're just like, all right, these are the spider ones. These are the ones that
Yes,
walk.
100%.
These are the ones when these are the ones that my teammate turns into. And then I don't know. It's fine, but like the cool thing about the movie is like the way that it morphs into different things, and you get really into like the body horror aspect of
Yes,
it. But
for sure.
I didn't feel that here. Like, outside of like models that you like come across in like the laboratory and stuff.
Yes.
Like
yeah,
those
100%.
were neat, but when like
Yeah.
in gameplay there's not a lot of that.
Well, I think that's also true that you don't get the like transformation sequences where like, oh, this rib cage becomes teeth.
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? Where sort of the like you get these models, like especially the bosses, which are like, okay, like the creature at the end of the transformation sequence looks like this guy. Right. But you don't get that process of like getting through that whole thing. And so it's not as scary. Like that's sort of the thing, is like seeing the way the body twists and manipulates itself and moves, right? It like that's so much of where the horror is coming in the thing, right? At least in the kind of these more like intense gory sequences, right?
Yeah. You kind of get that a little bit at the final boss, I guess.
Yeah, I actually think like the final boss is super goofy because it's just like it's like, a skyscraper sized hand basically.
Do you care about Resident Evil 7 spoilers?
No.
Okay. Spoilers for Resident Evil 7. Skip ahead like 30 seconds, I guess.
Yeah.
This is just the end of Resident Evil 7.
Oh god. I mean, I think that's yeah.
Like there's a grandma in a wheelchair, and at the end she becomes like a giant thing that you have to shoot
I would have
at.
assumed that it's like the dude who also becomes a giant thing that you have to shoot at.
No, it's the grandma.
Okay, sure.
And then you have to shoot it, and then like Chris Redfield comes in on a helicopter and saves you.
Yeah,
It's like exactly Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I think that is one of the things, is like this is a video game.
Yeah.
And you really kind of feel the just like so many tropes and conventions of how the genre is supposed to work, right? That it's like, okay, we have to have a final boss, and the final boss is like the biggest thing that you've encountered in the game thus far, right? And I think, the way that the sort of structure of it is reflected in like multiple Resident Evil games, kind of shows that. But I do think. I was
the difference here is like you have to shoot the barrels.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like the game. Okay. You finish what you have to say first.
Oh, I was just going to say that I do think the boss design is kind of cool and is like freaky. And it also does get some like you sort of see him, you see Whitley transform. And then as you're like walking out to get picked up by the helicopter, before the cutscene starts, you can just see the big hand, like, and it's got like 6 fingers and it's all twisted and like sharp just in the distance. Right. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like it doesn't, obviously it's like silly, right? And you just shoot it and you win or whatever. Like it's not, I don't feel like, oh, this is true horror, but it is like, oh yeah, there's an image there. That's great. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game is loaded with barrels, and
this game has so many barrels. It's true.
But the way fire works in this game.
Oh yeah.
I hate it so much.
Yeah, well, so that's sort of so there's kind of lots of things here. So fire will linger on the ground, and you have like a fire extinguisher that you can put it out with, right?
Yeah.
And then also the range
you have a flamethrower,
Yeah, the range of the flamethrower that you have is like 2 inches.
If you use the flamethrower and go in your head like, oh, I'm too far away, I better move up, you will take damage, like lots of damage. Like too much damage.
Yes. Right, and that's sort of the thing is like, I was, okay, this is like, for some reason the other day, I got like in a little rabbit hole where I was watching YouTube videos about Kanye West's collaborations with Paul McCartney. and he performed all day at the Brit Awards in like 2015, I think. And it's basically, he's just got like a huge group of people, like all in black, and then in the front there's two guys with flamethrowers who are just like occasionally like in time with the music like shooting a huge burst of flame. And I'm just playing the game. I was like, I've seen a flamethrower. It goes farther than this. It's like 5 feet up or 6 feet. Like, I don't know, a lot of feet. Like you can't tell me that this flamethrower goes like 10 inches across or whatever. Like, I have to be, like, standing close enough to touch the thing in order to flame it. And so it just gets, like... there are moments where it just gets really difficult to, like, dodge damage. Or you, like, set the ground on fire because you're not close enough. And this is also the thing is... this is actually a system I kind of like, generally. But so there's an aim button. And you can fire outside of using the aim button. But, you know, it's a little less precise, right? Sort of like auto aim. And then if you hit the aim button, though, you can hit it more precisely. And most weapons are usable in both modes, and it just kind of depends on like how far away you are from something.
Right. And
also, when you're using the like auto aim, when you're in like third person, right, you can see how much damage you're dealing. And then when you're in first person, you can. And so there is kind of a fun thing where it's like, okay, like how much do I need the information as opposed to accuracy? And like, you know, like I think it gives like some of the shooting like a little bit choice. But the thing is with the flamethrower, you have to aim it, because if you just shoot it it just shoots at the ground and there's not really an auto aim for it. And so you can't really use it outside of the aim where you have like way less mobility. Right. And so, it's just like there's a couple things there that just make using the flamethrower really frustrating. And there were a lot of deaths that I had, and I think that you had too, where it's just like, oh, I just got set myself on fire.
Yep.
In a way that would not happen if I was using this. You know.
Apparently crouching negates this.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I did. Did you realize that you can lean?
What?
Yeah.
How?
So when you're in the aim mode, you can hit the triggers and you'll lean from side to side.
Huh.
Which is weird. Yeah, like I didn't realize until and it did come in handy a couple times where it was like, okay, I have to stay behind cover or I can't like move stuff around, but
weird.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of the things, and I think we've been saying a lot of this stuff about this game that's really negative, and I think it's all true. I don't want to soften it, but I do think there's these like little kind of interesting nuances, and it's also like an example of a game in a very sort of story genre, but before the like way you do this became solidified, right? That it's like there's all these sort of weird, like there's not a lot of shooters, especially third-person shooters, where it's like leaning in exactly this way. Like there's not a cover system in this game,
right?
Right. And so I think like, there's something that's really cool about seeing like, what if this idea of like what shooting is like had been iterated on a couple more times instead of just being dropped after this, right? Like maybe there'd be something really cool at the end of that, but hard to know. Yeah. I think that's like, we've covered, I think generally the stuff we want to talk about. That's the thing is it's not like Silent Hill where there's like lots of meat, you know, sometimes the military be bad. And you know, I do agree. I can't say I don't agree. But sometimes you got a good military man who can do the right thing, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know. I am still like, I watched the thing last night, like after I've seen all the game stuff, and I was just kind of upset at the way this game like undoes the ending of the thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's like one of the things about this game is I think it's best thought of as like a spin-off. Like it's almost like what if the thing was like the launch film for like a cinematic universe, and like this is number 2. Right. And I think because it doesn't have that cultural weight, and it's just like this weird PS2 game that people don't really remember, I think that for me became charming. But you're right, like it does kind of mess up the movie. You know, if you think about it, especially in this kind of like, this is a sequel to that thing, you know? So yeah, I think I just said like I was kind of charmed by that, but also it is bad in lots of ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The voice acting, the first cutscene where the guy's like, Larson, oh, I gotta get you out of here.
Oh yeah.
It's really funny to me.
It's good. Yeah, and I actually would say, I guess I also want to shout out, I think the first level of this game is really fucking cool.
It's so good. That's the thing. So I played like an hour of it, and it was like, this game's awesome. I'm gonna put it down for a little bit, come back to it.
Yeah.
But like, awesome, great game. And then I came back to it, and I'm like, oh no, what did I do?
Yes, no, it does kind of gradually unwind, especially as like the further you go down, the more it becomes like a video game in a way that like all these games kind of are, right? But I think this is a common thing in video games, obviously, where it's like you go to a place and something bad has happened there, and you're trying to figure out what bad thing happened, right? Like, you know, BioShock is about this. Resident Evil, to some degree, is about this, right? So many games are just about this basic thing, right? And I think the idea that the bad thing that happened before is something that is a shared text between the audience, right, and the game, and that you kind of interacting with and playing with that text, like moving through the set of the movie and seeing all these different locations and like having meta knowledge about what happened there that, you know, the characters don't have, I think is like really magical. And, you know, unfortunately, it's like the first 30 minutes of the game does that, right? And kind of some stuff in the Norwegian base, which ends up being so huge in a way that I don't think it is in the movie. You know, so yeah, there's sort of like that. The game makes a really, really strong first impression, I think, because of the way it's like playing with this established text. You know, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool to be able to kind of like remember how the geography of the base is and like go find things that were there, you know, in the movie.
Why is the UFO there?
Isn't it there isn't it underneath? I mean, you
they
just
blow
watched
it up though. They blow it up.
Oh, you're right. They do blow it up.
So I don't know what happened there.
The alien, the McCready rebuilt it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's there because it's a big image from the movie that has to be there, right?
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot that they blew it up.
Yeah. They have to heat it. They have to, you know, thing hates fires, so they have to blow up the base.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My other like big thing about it is like when your squad members become the thing, you just kind of kill it, and then you're like, well, that's it.
Yeah, here we go.
Guess I'll walk down this corridor some more.
Yeah, whereas like each death in the movie is such a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's the thing, is I don't envy the job. It's really hard to translate it, I think, particularly to a game that like you're trying to market, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think there's some choices here that, because I kind of wish the whole game was just like, you do the American base, and then you go to the Norwegian base, and then you go to like the Swedish base or the United Kingdom base or whatever, right? And it's just like 3 bases, and then at the end it's like the thing is still out there. Like that would have, I think, done a little bit better for me than what this ended up being, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't hate it. It's like endearing as a thing that exists of its time. I would say people could watch the beginning maybe of an LP, or watch the Waypoint streams, which I'm sure are on their YouTube, and just then that's how you can get a good sense of like what it is. If you're curious about it, I would not suggest that you seek out a copy of this, or, you know, unless you're like, damn, I want this fucking janky 2002 poor vibe. That's what I need in my life. And like, Godspeed, I understand. But yeah. Well, should we do emails then?
Yeah. Sorry, it's $20 on eBay if you want to buy it.
Oh, damn. So. That's kind of expensive. This is like a $5 video game in my estimation. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, it's not negative. Great game to get for $5. 20 is a little much.
Yeah, 20 to 30, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's move on to emails then.
Yeah. Yeah, we can just alternate. I can read this first one.
Sure.
This is an email from M, and it says, I've not played this one, so instead, please tell me what your ideal escape from XX game is that utilizes Snake in a way wholly distinct from Metal Gear because we can do better. And they got another question, but I think we can answer that fully and then go to the second one.
So we both watched Escape from New York as a way to prepare for this.
Yes. Well, I was like, listen, I really like both the John Carpenter movies I've seen. Generally a gap in my filmography. So I was like, I'll watch Escape from New York. I finished it like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Pretty cool movie. The thing is, I couldn't quite. I think it would be cool to do, honestly, like Escape from Leningrad. Or I kind of also, this is like kind of a cheap answer, I think, but like, I think honestly like a shoot 'em up arcade machine game where it's just like the movie except little sprites and it's the music and maybe like the crunched up voice work from all these actors. I think that would be really fun. Because I just think the vibes are good. This is the thing about John Carpenter movies, is the vibe is always good. It's like, yeah, this is a good vibe. So I would like to just like hang out with that music and like in the like pixelated version of this for a couple hours. I think that would be like a very good way to do it. Do you have any thoughts on this? I might have another idea, but that's like the one I was basically thinking about after reading this.
Well, I just want to let you know that Escape from Leningrad, a Snake Plissken story, is on YouTube. It's a fan film.
Oh,
that is 47 minutes long.
I don't want to watch that. Maybe it's, I don't, who knows?
So when I started watching this movie, Escape from New York, I was like, oh, Arkham City just stole this.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And did it way worse. I mean, not shockingly.
Yeah.
But
yes. And I didn't know that Metal Gear stole so much from it.
Yeah.
Like I knew about Pliskin and stuff, but like
right.
Damn, like the voice, like it's kind of everything.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot of the thematic stuff too. Right.
Yeah.
Where at the end of the movie where it's like, hey, all these people died, do you care? And the president's like, I gotta be on TV.
Yeah.
Is a very like Metal Gear-y moment.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's the other way around, right? I'm just using that as the.
Yeah.
I do think the stuff I actually, and maybe this is controversial, but I kind of like some of the stuff that Metal Gear throws on to this, like the clone family stuff. I think is cool. So, but I also sort of, I think this is something that's, I mean, it's just one of the things I was also thinking about this movie that I think Metal Gear kind of misses out on outside of the first two is like the continuation of the Cold War stuff, right? Where it's like by the time Metal Gear Solid comes out, the Cold War is over, right? Or at least as, as was understood, right? And so that kind of changes like a lot of the political dimension of like what is happening in that game. And I think something that's cool about this is it's an imagination of the future where that stuff is still happening, right? And I guess that's something like I think it'd be cool, and maybe this is what Escape from LA is, right? I haven't seen it, but like I think it would be cool to do something with that, maybe, or like sort of, I don't know. Yeah. Do you have an answer to this?
No, Brawler was my answer.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's tough because I do think so much is so directly aped from Metal Gear that it feels like, I guess there's also an element here where like, Pliskin is a really sympathetic character, but he's also kind of a jackass, right? And I think that's a dimension that like in Metal Gear Solid, that's really superficial, like he's like, oh, I'm a tough guy, but really like he cares about everybody, right? Whereas Pliskin does kind of like, it's not that he doesn't care, but he's like, okay, I just have to move, like I have to keep moving or else I'm gonna die, right? Like there's sort of a priority of self, right, that I think Snake very explicitly doesn't have at a certain point, right? Or at least the game like thematizes through stuff like the torture and the split ending and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I don't really know how that translates to like a video game, but I guess that's like a dimension of the character that I do think is like there's so much aesthetic stuff that carries over, right? And some of the thematic concerns, but there's like little touches of how Snake like operates that are really different. And I also think like the sort of like crime boss, like social organization stuff in this movie is like not in Metal Gear at all, obviously. Except I guess like the like hierarchy of like terrorist weirdos. There's kind of a different flavor to it though. So yeah, there are definitely things that I'd be interested to see like an iteration on. I don't know exactly what that would look like. And it's all kind of stuff that's like not like gamey constructions, you know? Like I'd like to, I don't know. I guess I want future Cold War stuff that's not fucking Red Alert or whatever those games are. Those seem bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's M's second question. Also, who do you think John Carpenter mains in Smash Brothers? Please provide a justification. It doesn't have to be a good one.
Sonic.
Sonic?
Sonic. He's on the record saying he likes Sonic.
Yeah, let me just say this. John Carpenter is smarter about video games than so many of us.
He's smarter about video games than so many people who write about video games.
Yes. But also, I think I love that he tweets is like, hey, I'm playing the new Halo. It's really good. And I'm like, damn, like, I wish I could be you right now. Like, you are king of the world. You know, you're just playing the new Halo and you're like, damn, it's good when I get a headshot. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Wiser than all of us. So yeah, I think I think Sonic is kind of the right vibe. It's definitely not Snake. That's for damn sure. I don't know. I could see. Yeah, I think I think you nailed it. I think that's right. I think you got it. Sonic it is. All right, do you want to read this next email?
Hold on. Okay. Here's a quote from John Carpenter.
Okay, hit me.
Let's see. Underwater level. He's talking about underwater levels in Sonic.
Okay.
I'd die every time and then I'd have to start back. It was so frustrating, but there was something so insanely addicting about that, he says. I even like the one where he turns into a werewolf.
Thank you, John Carpenter. Wiser than most of us.
King.
This is what I'm saying.
Honestly.
King.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think you're
right.
real. Yeah, I think Sonic is the one.
Yeah. All right. This one's from Ina. Let's see. I got this going on my laptop and made it about as far as the second boss this week, and then finished in time for the podcast. Me neither. So
yeah, you're good. Yeah, I did. I don't recommend it.
How much difficulty do you think the cast of this game, including the various forms of the things, would have cooking a fried egg, and how good to eat do you think each egg would be?
So obviously the little spindly guys cannot cook an egg. They don't have there's no joint, there's no like thumbs or fingers really. Can't do it. Impossible. I think
Does Blake need an engineer to make eggs?
No, okay, here's what I think. I think Blake needs an engineer to make omelets. And he'll make you just like a fried egg with salt and pepper, and it's too cooked through. You know, it's like cooked all the way through. But it's like good. It's fine. Perfectly okay fried egg. That's my feeling about Blake. Yeah, I Whitley would take the egg you gave him to fry and would suck it. Just like crack it and just slurp the whole thing. What about like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the there's like the big like ape kind of things that like walk on 4 legs.
Yeah.
I feel like similar. I don't know if those guys can fry an egg. They do have that little appendage though. Maybe they could flip something over with that. But it's like, if it's like the kitchen would have to be really big is the thing, because he'd have to just like have enough space to like put his bum against the yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. I think the person things can just make a fried egg.
Do they make imitation egg?
Imitation egg?
Yeah.
Like vegan egg? Or
like in the same way there's like imitation crab, you know?
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, there is vegan eggs, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, are they like?
I guess it's a little offensive to say that the thing would eat vegan eggs because they try to be imitations of people.
I understand what you mean. Okay. Sorry, my brain was like way behind. Yeah, I don't know. That's I think the thing is, I think if it's cooking the egg for itself, it's a carnivore in a certain sense, right? I don't think it has any like moral qualms about eating. I think for somebody else, I don't think it. Maybe you know what? Maybe the thing does, if it's a person shaped thing and can like hold a frying pan and do all the requisite motor control things, is it just like slices a piece of it off and throws it on there and it turns into a little egg, and that's how it infects you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how it tastes though. It's probably just like the thing. I bet the person thing makes like a runnier egg, you know, and like will also get like some toast and butter for you. Blake is not doing that shit. Blake is just making a fried egg.
What about McCready?
What about McCready? You know what? I bet McCready can make a damn fine fried egg. I don't know why, but I think that's the vibe for me.
Yeah.
You know? Are there any other characters? I feel like we could. There's like the various. Oh, also, I think the big Wheatley boss hand at the end of the game could make a fried egg. You just have to have a really big frying pan. I think you could do it though, if you gave him enough eggs and a big frying pan.
The medic isn't making you anything.
No. God no.
The medic is too scared to touch the stove.
It's like it's on fire. Like there's
anything.
fire in there. It's hot to touch. I can't do anything with that. Yeah, I think that's right. I think we've covered pretty much the entire cast.
Yeah.
As well. Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
You know, appreciate it. You also have a question from Mary. I was just wondering how you felt about the trust infection blood test mechanics. I really love the idea and thought it had the possibility to absolutely fascinating emergent system, but I felt like it just gets completely sidelined in favor of mandatory triggered thing transformations. For squad mates, and it mentions completely silencing squad mates entirely. Yeah, we agree. We basically talked about this. I think this is also a good observation. Also, just a side comment, but I couldn't help but laugh that the game ends on Whitley being like, I have control over all the things on this continent, when it was such a significant plot point in the Carpenter film that each individual cell of the thing had its own survival instincts. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
No.
I guess maybe I would say the most, it's a stupid line, either way. Maybe the generous read of that is that Whitley thinks he's in control, but is not.
Right.
I don't know. I still think that the conspiracy element of it is just kind of weak, and that is a particularly goofy example of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have any thoughts here?
It gets so muddled when you turn it into like a virus.
Yeah,
when
that's
when Whitley injects whatever it is, and he's like still human, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Even though he like turns into a big thing at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, it just at that point it becomes a different.
Yeah, well, I think that's also one of the, because he like claims to be able to control it. Yeah. And I think that's like one of the things is that in the movie, there's sort of a sense that you maybe don't even know that you're the thing.
Exactly.
Now. Right. You have no like conceptualization that like you are now something different than you were. Right. And like that's pretty scary. And this game, just completely railroads past that idea. Because you got to shoot some dudes. Oh, go ahead.
Did you ever read? Sorry, completely off topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever read that Annihilation trilogy?
No, I still haven't. I intend to at some point.
There's some stuff about this that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, there's some stuff like that in the. So I've seen the movie, which I know is very, very different. There's some ideas that are kind of like that in that too, but are a little more peripheral to the to the plot. But yeah, I like to read them. I like to read more science fiction, kind of generally. Yeah. Well, I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. This was fun. I'm glad. I'm hoping. The hope is that we'll cover one of these weird games and we'll be like, that was so good. But I don't regret covering this at all. I think it was a good time.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
No. It has me rethinking my setup now. Because, man, save states would have been so useful here.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
Because I know I advocated for hacking your PS3 last time. But that this should have ran at like 15 frames a second on that, so...
Yeah, it did actually run, I think, generally pretty well on emulation, so...
Yeah.
I didn't have any struggles with it. Like in those terms, right? I obviously tussled with the game a little bit. Yeah. Well, so you can find me on Twitter at Grace.
Well, wait.
Oh, wait, hold on.
You know what game I don't need an emulator for though?
Oh,
is what we're gonna do next time.
Yeah, which is Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2, baby.
Baby.
We're not leaving the PS2 behind just yet.
No, absolutely not. But we're gonna get so much mileage out of PS2 stuff. On this show. But yeah, I'm pumped. Silent Hill 1's great. I don't know. I
oddly relevant now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Both in the rumor mill way and in the way that Kendrick Lamar sampled Silent Hill in his latest album.
Oh right, I knew that there was a track. I didn't know that he sampled it.
Yeah, he sampled the song from 2.
Cool. I guess. Sometimes video game samples can really go hard, is the thing. It can be really cool. But I listened to that track. So. Yeah. I have not listened to the Kendrick album. I've just seen discourse and have sort of been, I don't know, maybe wanting to not have that in my head going into it, or also like kind of losing interest maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Yep. Anyway.
Yeah. So we're covering Silent Hill 2. So you can find me on Twitter at Grace_machine. And I write sometimes on the internet about video games generally. Hopefully about other stuff soon. I would really like to... I have a blog at graceandthemachine.com, and you can read my essays about The Witcher on there, and hopefully other stuff to come. So, Ryan, what you've got to plug?
You can find me on Twitter at BluestRose430, tweeting about how Kodak Black shouldn't be on the new Kendrick album.
Yeah, absolutely fucking not. God. Anyway.
God.
Yeah.
Do we have anything? That's it, right? Are we done?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
We defeated the thing.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm forgetting.
I don't
anyway.
know. Yeah, but I mean, I'm pumped. That's it.
I feel like I'll hit stop and be like, oh yeah, I forgot to say this, but... okay, we're back and I remembered what I forgot. So Silent Hill 2, we're going to play the PS2 version. There's two... So there's the original version of Silent Hill 2, and then there's the Greatest Hits version. The Greatest Hits has a DLC sort of scenario, which not really... It's not hugely important. I'll probably... So I own the original version of Silent Hill 2. that
Okay.
doesn't have that stuff. But I will most likely just watch that
Okay, I guess
DLC thing.
I could do the same thing. I did not know that there was like additional DLC kind of
Yep,
idea.
it's from a different character's perspective, basically. So
okay, yeah, good to know.